You know, if you cannot answer our questions and you won't extend the session and have the public involved beyond the people in Madison here, you know deep down that this is going to cause trouble, and it's almost as if though you want to get out of hand and cause trouble and have people get arrested. Yes, it is. It's exactly what you want.
The reason is
That's bullshit. You know you got a smug little smile on your face and all these questions. You know, it's very obvious that what you're doing.
No, our intent with the policy and our intent in holding the information sessions
That we need more time.
is to bring
We need more time.
clients.
What's the big hurry?
If you have an event that you're going to hold.
What is the big hurry? What is the rush that we got 2 weeks? What?
Oh, the teachers will be off. Oh, the day we follow.
Is this like fascism?
January 17th, so maybe that's the date they're going to issue.
I'd like to make one comment, and you won't be able to answer me, I know, and I respect that, but I would like to say that this set of policies looks an awful lot like to me about February 28th, 1933, when the Reichstag prohibited assembly in Germany.
Yes. You know you're going to have more people here get arrested.
If the public has this, why?
We have
It's been saved.
since long before Governor Walker was stopped.
No! Bullshit!
There has been a permitting process in
Yes,
place.
but not for free speech.
Chief Tubbs has worked, in his own words, worked with groups for hundreds of days. There's been no problems. But the administration's policy is it isn't broke, fix it. That's what you guys do.
Exactly.
He's going to put this man in a very precarious position.
And that's the
Stuff is going to
point.
happen.
That's what you want! That is what you want!
Process in place so that we can ensure that people have the ability.
What they're going to do is bring the state patrol in here to get rid of Chief Tubbs.
The pit stop law.
In a safe and secure manner. That's what we're doing.
You are so full of
You're
shit.
so full of shit, it's tripping.
Yeah, you smug little look. You think it's funny we're gonna get beat up. You think it's funny, bro. Grandma's gonna get beat up and you think it's funny. What a punk.
I said I'm trying to finish my first question 45 minutes ago. So whether it costs $50,000 or $500 or 50 cents, it's wrong. Free speech is supposed to be free. Free. Because we don't want our free speech impeded upon or impinged upon or whatever the legal word is. And because you repeat something over and over and over to us doesn't make it true and it doesn't make it right.
I said the same thing at the last meeting.
And I have to go, but thank you.
Thank you.
Chris, why is the second floor not public? This is easy. Why isn't it public?
Yeah.
We believe that's more of a working
So,
area.
in the second floor, it's not public.
That's within the policy.
Chief Tubbs has been negligent in arresting my girlfriend, who has been up on the second floor every day for the last 2 months, holding a sign and demonstrating. Would you please tell him to arrest her? She's disobeying the code.
We would always seek to go to voluntary compliance. That's
Why
the
is it not
process
a
that
public?
you use.
Doesn't the public go up there to go to the assembly? Don't they go up there to go to the Supreme
We're
Court?
talking about public areas where you hold events.
So the second floor is not public.
It doesn't say that. It
It
says
does
if you're
say
going to
that.
have a
It
public
says
event.
demonstrations occur in the ground floor and the first level.
And they're-
Demonstrations may not occur in the second floor. I demonstrated on the
public
second
events.
floor today. You guys aren't paying attention.
I'm confused by these rules, I really am.
I guess there isn't a clear distinction in fact. And like for example, the protest that started in February, they were arguably, well, I mean, it's questionable whether they were a spontaneous event that was continuously occurring, because they were. I mean, they started first of all when the Joint Finance Committee was holding a hearing, and all the people that came initially, the first day of the protest, were just using the Capitol essentially as an overflow room for a committee hearing.
No.
And there were so many, people they couldn't. In the first night was February 15th, and that's where the occupation sleeping overnight started, because there was a public meeting to hear the bill, but then the Joint Finance Committee adjourned. There was another. The Democrats in the legislature started holding their own hearing, but it was essentially just almost a continuous, spontaneous event. Or was it a plan? I mean, it's just not clear how you could even possibly draw the line in that question, whether it's a spontaneous event or a planned event that just took, a month and a half to resolve itself, or is it just the question of what is an ongoing, event? Just when you make a distinction between what is spontaneous and what is, I mean, you seem to try to have a definition, but it's just very porous. And I understand that, you intend most of the time to, most cases aren't hard decisions to make. As you say, most permits are going to be accepted. The permitting process does work well most of the time. But in, the experiences that we've all had, is that when an unusual event happens, and people in charge want to exert their authority, they look at the rules and instead of the practices that have evolved around the rules that work fine most of the time, they look at the letter of the rule and they get very pedantic about the letter of the rule. And I guess the concern that a lot of people have here, I mean, it seems like in your mind you have these policies and you want to have it be clear. And most of the time, they would work well and would preserve free speech most of the time. The problem is what happens when there's a time that's unusual, that someone empowered want to take extraordinary steps. Given this administration's history, particularly the way the building was closed down in March and February, it seems like you're asking us to trust that the way you say you intend these to be followed will be upheld in good faith, when it seems like a lot of the time, and again, most of the time, you do let things slide that are technical. Like you said, this gentleman said his girlfriend was on the second floor, and technically that's against the rules, I suppose.
Every day.
Well, I mean,
It's not against the Constitution.
Well, I mean, but you have a policy, and you wanted to say, you arrested someone because they violated some rules, and but a lot of the time you let things slide, even though they would be technical violations under the letter of the rule. And when we adjust to those policies and we don't actually look at the rules that you've laid out. I mean, right now a lot of us are hung up on precise language because we know that when push comes to shove, a push will come to a shove, literally, because you'll start getting hung up on precise legal definitions, because that's been our experience, is that you'll push any authority that's granted to as far as you can. Well, and not necessarily you personally. I think you haven't even been in this job that long. But if you're setting these policies up, your successors will have to follow them too. The next administration would have to follow. It would be a different administration, and where we could have the same. You are replaced by a Democrat, and we're replaced by Tea Partiers. This transcends any kind of politics. And if you seem to be focusing on how you want the rules to be used, whereas we're concerned about how they be abused. I mean, if you understand why everyone's yelling at you.
No, and I appreciate that thoughtful commentary. And let's readily admit that none of us can anticipate every possible event that might occur, or what the circumstances might be, and how you would differentiate between what is a spontaneous and not.
Help.
We've done what we felt was a good job of being able to try to define those events. We're trying to ensure, again, that everybody has the ability to exercise their First Amendment rights. We're looking to do that so that we can do that in a way that provides everybody that opportunity, but also protects safety of the people that are here.
Can I just ask real quick, in the last year, what has happened? Can you point to any specific event that has happened that you would have preferred to see not happen, number one? Number two, that these rules would prevent from happening?
I think
So the question goes to Chief Tubbs. The question is, well, the broad concept I'm trying to get at is what problem are you trying to fix? The specific question is there a specific thing that happened that you feel should not have happened, and that these rules would have, had they been in place, would have prevented?
I'll tell you, my personal biggest concern is that we have two events, two groups of people at the same time that are in the same place with very different opinions, and that
Happens all the time.
but that escalates to a point where we don't have the staff in place to maintain everybody's safety.
One permit. One at a time.
He was responding to my question. Can I respond?
That's a hypothetical. It has not occurred.
There was an event that where exactly what you were saying. I was scared was going to happen. It was in the early weeks of the protest. It was a Saturday. You know, there was a big rally planned by the opponents of the budget repair bill, and then there was also a counter rally planned by supporters. And you know, both groups were here. They were both. I mean, obviously one was larger than the other, but there was a lot of thousands of people on both sides, and there was a lot of yelling, and you know, I'm sure people were called motherfuckers a few times. But at the same time, there was maybe Chief Tubbs can speak to this, but I don't remember there being any kind of altercation or violence, and you know, that made me proud to be a Wisconsinite. That even the people on the other side. Loud, almost, mean-spirited. There were people, you know, shouting obscenities back and forth, but at the same time, we respected each other enough to not let that escalate. We respected Wisconsin and the process enough, and we didn't need these rules to prevent that from happening.
Can I say something to that? You bring up a very good point. I want to point out again that those particular days could have been awful. They could have, thank God they were not. But I want to point out something very important. And I'll go back to the permit process. The people who fill out those permits, we personally met with them consistently, morning, noon, and night, to make sure we maintain a safe environment for everyone. We were able to meet with the permit holders and organizers and explain to them the responsibilities of law enforcement and the responsibilities of the citizens. The responsibilities, if we cross lines of each other, how we're going to conduct ourselves and respond. Honest to God, I think that's why that worked so well. And it went back to the processing of the permits, and I would bet my life that had a significant impact on, but also, we had some very fine citizens here who were willing to work with us as well. And
So why fix what's not broken? You just convinced me very effectively that it worked fine because of what you were doing, and it was great. Why change it?
Can I say one thing, sir, to respond to you?
Yeah.
Okay, but what's the key word I said? By having the ability to have that permit and know, you already have it, to know who was responsible, and we could contact and talk to them.
Why about 4 people?
We have 4 people.